But beyond that, as far as the first question, which is, do people have thoughts that don't manifest in behavior? Yes, all the time.
For instance?
For instance, every thought that you have about walking up here and strangling me right now. I assume like we have thoughts all the time that don't manifest in behavior, and this is true every single day. We consider thoughts that cross our minds. The problem with unconscious bias is the idea is you don't even know that you're having the thought, right? So how can you stop it if you don't even know that you're having it? But then we should be able to gauge the unconscious bias and its impact on behavior.
See a ridiculous, race-hustling leftist attempt to roast Ben Shapiro and absolutely regret it really quick, guys. This is a good video. This person here is talking about unconscious bias. It's this whole weird leftist idea of even if you think you're not racist, even if you say you're not racist, even if you make an effort to not act racist, it doesn't matter. You are racist because your unconscious mind is programming you to hate people who look different from you all the time. Yes, they really believe this crap, guys. It's truly quite incredible. And something I find kind of funny and ironic about this whole thing is that if you believe in the idea of unconscious bias and say it affects people, makes them racist, you're calling yourself a racist. So maybe instead of going and complaining to the whole world about it, you should work on yourself. Just a thought, guys. I don't know. So anyways, we're gonna get right into this. But first, everybody, I need you to do me a huge favor, all right? Please, please, please like our video. If you're new, subscribe and share it around so we can keep bringing you guys this great content. And for those of you who have subscribed and are returning, thank you so much, guys, and welcome back. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Darian, and this is the Resist the Mainstream channel.
Unconscious bias is a concept well documented in psychological studies, which is basically that people associate negative things with people of color and positive things with whites. So if that is true, given that that is true, how does white privilege not exist?
Okay, so you're asking about unconscious bias. I apologize because it's kind of echoey, but the question was, if there is unconscious bias, just to repeat it so I'm making sure I get it right, if there is unconscious bias, how does white privilege not exist?
The question is, given that there is unconscious bias, how does white privilege not exist?
So number one, so when I speak about white privilege, yes, so when I speak about white privilege, I'm speaking specifically about behavior. Okay, there have been no studies, and really I've looked at these studies, the connection between what they call implicit bias, this is their favorite phrase now, implicit bias, unconscious bias, and biased behavior has yet to be proven at any level that is even remotely necessary to be used in, for example, a courtroom, which is why it's never been used in a courtroom. It is also true that there is no way, there really isn't, there's been no proven way to alleviate what they call unconscious bias, which means that we're ghost hunting. So what I would suggest is that if there is unconscious bias, and I'll acknowledge the possibility or the reality of unconscious bias, if there is, then I need you to I don't care about what's in people's heads so much as what they do. So if you point me to a racist behavior, don't worry, I'll let you respond. If you point me to a racist behavior, I'm happy to stand alongside you and protest it. What I can't do is protest about things in people's head that I don't know about because I'm not a mind reader.
You can tell she thinks she totally has Shapiro because she's sitting there while he's talking, put up her finger with a, grin on her face. The leftists really think this is some kind of gotcha thing to get conservatives. But at the end of the day, it's just bullshit, frankly, and people shouldn't even take a second to acknowledge it. In this life, there are plenty of things you're going to think unconsciously because that's just how it is, all right? At the end of the day, it's a very common part of the human experience to have plenty of different thoughts all the time. Sometimes thoughts that you might not even like, thoughts of doing things that you would never actually seriously consider doing. That's just the state of the human condition, and it is what it is. You can sit here and complain about it and act like it's some kind of travesty, but what's that really going to do for anybody? The answer is, of course, nothing other than keep living your life and be the best person you can be. But leftists don't like that because they always want to have problems that are unsolvable. It's a big part of their mantra.
Okay, so that's a really interesting response. And to that, I have two questions. Firstly, what I've heard you say that this is something that, the way people think doesn't affect their behavior. So that's the first thing you've said. So I'm really curious if you can kind of give me another example of a thought that somebody has which doesn't affect their behavior. Like, do people who, support Trump not vote for him? Like, I'm very curious about that.
Yes.
And secondly, so the second thing that I want to ask is that if it's something it's hard to fix, does it mean we shouldn't do anything about it? Because you said, I don't know if we can change how people think. Does that mean we shouldn't try?
This lady over here clearly isn't a man, nor does she understand men very well, because let me just tell you guys, as a man, there are plenty of thoughts I have that I don't act on, okay? All this to say, this lady over here thinks she's made some kind of brilliant intellectual point, but it fails the basic smell test, and badly so.
We shouldn't try?
I mean, first of all, not a great impression, but beyond that, my voice isn't that low. But beyond that, as far as the first question, which is, do people have thoughts that don't manifest in behavior? Yes, all the time.
For instance?
For instance, every thought that you have about walking up here and strangling me right now. I assume like we have thoughts all the time that don't manifest in behavior, and this is true every single day. We consider thoughts that cross our minds. And the problem with unconscious bias is the idea is you don't even know that you're having the thought, right? So how can you stop it if you don't even know that you're having it? But then we should be able to gauge the unconscious bias and its impact on behavior.
I know somebody who never understands the thoughts they're having, Joe Biden. And look, I think this crumbling economy just proves that point further. Guys, this inflation is out of control, and for that reason, I have decided to invest in precious metals, and you should too, okay? And that is why I've partnered with GoldCo. Check it out, guys. You can go to rtmgold.com. You can type the link in your web browser or click the link in your description. You can roll over your IRA or 401k penalty and tax-free. Yes, you heard that right, penalty and tax-free. So check it out, guys. What's more, you can get a free gold kit from GoldCo, all right? Because we know this is a big decision to make, and we want you guys to be comfortable with it. GoldCo is very highly rated in customer service, and we think you will like it, so give it a go. Check it out, everybody, rtmgold.com.
That's why it's unconscious bias as opposed to conscious bias. The idea behind unconscious bias is that it's not even a ghost, it's a ghost of a ghost, because you don't even know you're having the thought. So people, the whole idea behind diversity training is the idea that you can retrain people to stop their chain of thoughts in order so that it doesn't manifest in behavior. I don't think that every thought manifests in behavior. If it did, then every time a man saw a good-looking woman walk down the street, a straight man saw a good-looking woman down the street, we'd have a real mess on our hands. So the second question, the idea was a little too broad for me to respond to, which is just because something is tough, don't we have to face up to it? Yes, we have to face up to tough things all the time. And one of the tough things I would suggest that we face up to is that you have a lot more control over your own behavior and the decisions you make than the supposedly widespread unconscious bias of people you've never met.
Speaking of retraining people, as this girl asked Ben Shapiro about, remember when Hillary Clinton said that we need to reprogram this MAGA cult of Trump supporters? Kind of creepy stuff. Roll the clip.
And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
It's starting to make a lot of sense why the left is so obsessed with unconscious bias. And that wraps up the clip, guys. We really hope you enjoyed it. As always, everybody, help us out. Comment below. Let us know what kind of stuff you liked in the video and what kind of stuff you want to see next. Also, what do you think about unconscious bias? Let us know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys again soon. God bless.